Hello. Hope everybody's doing great, and I miss you guys. I just wanted to come on here and give you a brief description of what you guys are going to be doing for this project. And I'm so sad that I'm not with you. Hopefully by now I've had my little boy, and you guys have seen cute pictures of him. I miss you guys. So what I'm going to do is explain the project, and then any questions that you have, you can ask Mrs. Musica. She should be able to answer them. I've gotten her caught up on everything, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys have seen everything and are hearing it from my point of view. So this is a current events project. You do have from today through November 2nd to complete it. You'll have, I think, about 3 class days to work on it. It is a pretty hefty project, so you do need to be using your time wisely in class. That means you need to be working the entire time, either finding your articles, writing the paper, working on your presentation, but it is a lot of work. So do not procrastinate and wait until the last minute, because I promise you it's going to be a big portion of your grade. It's worth a test grade. So the objective of this, and I'm so sad I have to miss it just because I think it's really relevant in today's environment and with everything going on with the election and with COVID and with social justice. I designed this project to be really relevant so that you could see some worth in this class, and how I can use statistics in the real world, because you get that question so often in a math class. Well, this is it right here. Every news article, every commercial, everything that you read on the internet is all based upon what you have learned in this class. So the objective in this project is you're going to look at different current event articles or current issues and analyze through now what you know about your statistical lens with biases and different things, misleading graphs, etc. You're going to actually look at articles and decide if it's factual, if there's bias involved, if there's any misleading numbers, and also looking at the different sides of the political skew, right wing, left wing, center, or moderate, and just kind of see how those same issues are portrayed from 3 different sides. So I'm going to go through pretty pragmatically, like exactly what's expected. On the back of this page is a rubric, so make sure when you're designing your project that you hit every single mark on the rubric. I tried to make it as detailed as possible just so that you could get and fulfill the full 100 points. Your paper is going to be worth 75%, and your presentation will be 25%, adding up to 100% as a test grade. So process, this is kind of your paper. The first part of your paper, you're going to actually choose one news article that contains a statistical graph with supporting data. So the librarian has hooked us up and got us access to this Gale in Context news article database, where you will type in the access code Lone Star, and you can search for a viewpoint if you want, or you can browse the topics that they have. There's a ton of them. So choose one that's important to you. This one isn't necessarily have to be completely current event. I would like to see whatever article that you choose be something within the last 2 years or so, so anything from 2018, 2019, 2020. I would like it pretty new. But tons and tons of different issues or topics. I'm going to click on, let's see, let's say police brutality. This one's updated. There's probably a lot of things going on right now, and they have, different types of articles, news articles, some with images, etc. I want you to click on the statistics tab, And so it's going to take you to articles that have actual graphs in them. So if I click on just the first one, it has a categorical graph that shows different topics. So that could definitely be something you could use. This is a bar chart. I would maybe want you to, and it also has the MLA down here, which is really helpful. I would maybe want you to use maybe something that had some text along with it. So if you can find an article that has some text and a graph, that would be probably the best. Because what you're going to do is once you find the article that you want, you're going to provide a brief summary of that article. So kind of tell me what the article is saying. Try to write it in an unbiased opinion as much as you can. Just, report whatever you read. The second thing is you're going to describe the summary statistics of the data provided. So depending on what kind of graph that you found, if it's numerical, so you found a box plot, a histogram, a dot plot, stem and leaf, any of those, then you're going to cuss on the graph. So you'll report the center, which is the median, if there's any outliers, the spread, so the range, and then the shape of the graph. So you know how to cuss. And if it's a categorical like the one that we just saw, then you're going to write a few sentences discussing, kind of your observations of what you see. So which categories have the most frequent percentages? Was there a difference between the groups of people, like more males than females voted for this, or some of the infrequent categories? So really just take a few sentences or a paragraph and describe what you see from the graph. And then lastly, for this, you're going to actually decide for yourself with your statistical lens, is the data what we think it is? Where does the data come from? What does it represent? And consider how different interpretations of that data could lead to different conclusions. So I have two examples down here of things that you could use. Since I gave you the example, you can't use them now, but think about the number of deaths in the coronavirus. They're not giving us the specific numbers. Maybe they're just looking at deaths of vulnerable people. I've read articles that have said that they're counting coronavirus to be counted towards people that have underlying conditions and they didn't actually die from the coronavirus, they died from something else. So, like other chronic conditions. Another one could be, is there a reason why one candidate is surging when polling is at 13%? So they've only gathered 13% of the people. So I want you to just kind of analyze that article, and is the data that they're giving us, is it misleading? Is the graph misleading? And so just talk about that in your opinion. The second part of the paper, so that was part one, that's finding one article. The second part of the paper, we're actually going to look at which ways the news media shows bias based on the different sides of the political parties. So I'm going to show you guys this video.
Welcome to the brave new world of social media, where most of us get our news and political information. The upside is we get to participate in this conversation as never before. We comment, we share, we tweet, we retweet. But our favorite social networks have also amped up the power of the opinionators. Sometimes this activates us.
Because if there is ever a time to stand, the time is now.
And sometimes it feeds us distortion.
It's just a stupid opinion. I mean,
You
it's
just
a
call that
misunderstanding.
stupid.
My name's Juana Summers, and I'm an editor for CNN Politics based in Washington, D.C. One of the great things and one of the horrible things about social media is that everybody can have their say. It's kind of a marketplace of ideas, and some voices that sometimes are not correct or have a very
Trayvon Martin's killing in 2012 by George Zimmerman, we saw a new pattern of coverage emerge. Trayvon's death became a meme that led to an agenda war on social media and a now familiar shouting match on cable television, with wildly diverging narratives based on where you turned or clicked.
Jim Rutenberg, media columnist at the New York Times. We are in a whole new world where Twitter, Facebook, and social media are driving coverage nationwide. So CNN, Fox, MSNBC is going to pick one side, and if enough people like the way it sounds and want to believe it, it's off to the races.
The wheels are in motion for a complete character assassination of Trayvon
Martin behaving in a thuggish manner, assaulting George Zimmerman.
Thug? How about the guy who chased down the 17-year-old and shot him in the chest?
What we want when we're covering race is some kind of national conversation that leads us somewhere good. But if you're only going with the divided take, us against them, right against left, it's hard to see us coming to some place of reconciliation.
Now that we can program our own news diet online, it's even easier to seek out what we want to believe. The irony is that instead of expanding our worldview, social networks can easily become accomplices in shrinking it.
I'm Brooke Gladstone, the co-host and managing editor of On the Media, a national program produced by WNYC. There is a tendency in the digital media for a heightened phenomenon to occur, incestuous amplification. If you are in an echo chamber where you're only speaking to like-minded people, it tends to heighten the extreme voices and marginalize the moderate ones. It creates an atmosphere that is incredibly intolerant online.
And if Facebook is your go-to news source, it pays to understand how it works.
Facebook's main goal is to keep you on its site. Its algorithm is set up to give you what you want. An algorithm is a formula that Facebook engineers have put together to maybe even know what you like before you know what you like.
If you don't relish the idea of a computer algorithm responding to your likes and dislikes, you have to figure out how to curate your news for yourself. Certainly the news choices that you make will help determine your view of an event, of the world. Even more important, your view of the world determines what your news choices are. It really begins with you. So the question is, what do you do?
I would love it if I could tell every person in America to read something you violently disagree with once a week. If you're a diehard MSNBC watcher, go turn on Fox. If you love to read Breitbart and Town Hall, go listen to NPR for a day. Maybe there's something there for you to challenge your assumptions and the things that you typically read.
You can employ deputy curators on Twitter, say. You find people who are experts in the areas that you care about, going beyond the usual suspects and actually clicking further distances than you normally do.
If you're just swiping through your Facebook or your Twitter, go past the headline or the image that you're seeing and ask what's the full story, what's the source of the information, and just being really critical of that.
Today, it only takes a minute to Google something you see online and find out if it's been updated or fact-checked.
Don't reflexively retweet. You are feeding back into the system that is feeding into you. You're a part of this now.
The great news about the advent of social media is that there's more information at your fingertips. You can take advantage of that, and you can be the best informed citizen in history.
In the digital age, everyone with a keyboard can be a creator or distributor of content. We have more power than ever, and with that comes responsibility. It's on us to be our own media keepers and to engage thoughtfully in the evolving landscape of digital democracy.
Okay, I thought that was so interesting, especially the part about all of the media bias and everything, going in outside of what you're normally used to, watching other forms of news. Don't just retweet, you're the problem. I just thought that was really neat. So what you'll do now is we're going to go to allsides.com and you're going to choose some sort of, here it is right here, some sort of topic, whichever topic that you want. And so we'll go to topics, and really just look through whatever you think interests you. So maybe the coronavirus. And from there, let's see if it has this. There's some, might be under news. Yeah, so if you click on, one of the main topics, it's going to give you some articles from the right, the center, and the left. Let's see what this all sides connect is. Yeah, you can actually look in the news right here. That's where it is. So if I click on schools, then I can choose 3 articles that pertain to, so left, a center, and a right, that pertain to schools and safety and sanity. Just make sure whenever you choose your 3 articles that there is one from each side. So notice how, it's not fully a left wing, but it's kind of center left. It just needs to have one L, one C, and one R. And from there, they need to be the same topic. So on the home page, I know there aren't too many on the home page, but at least they are all of the same topic. So just make sure you choose a topic and then find one article from each of the 3 sides. So what you'll do from there, once you've chosen your topic and you have one article from each side, so you'll have 3 articles total. I want you to give an unbiased summary of the 3 articles. So try to combine the knowledge or combine the text from all 3 articles, the information that you've gained, and write an unbiased summary of those. So it could be trying to just list out the facts of what actually happened or what's going on, but try not to involve any biases whenever you're writing this summary. And then you'll answer what facts were included in all 3 stories. Were there any facts that was in one of them but not the other 2, and why might that be? And then provide one specific example from each article and identify the type of bias involved. So the ones we learned were wording of the question, response, non-response, voluntary, etc. And then lastly, what is the danger of only reading or listening to one source of news? So what's the danger of only watching Fox News all the time? What's the danger of only watching MSNBC? What's the danger of just looking at one source of news every single time? And so that's the second part of your paper. The third part is you're going to write a brief reflection on what you've learned through the process of digging into these news articles with a statistical lens, and how will this project change the way that you interpret the media and potential bias that is involved. So in the future, when you're reading news articles from this project, what have you learned that's going to help you in the future? So the product, you're going to be doing 2 different things. You're going to type a paper using MLA format. So you'll have your sources at the end of the paper. I really have no idea how long it's going to be. Part of me thinks it could be anywhere from 3 pages all the way up to 8 pages. So I have absolutely no idea. I haven't done this project before. So MLA format, just write enough to cover everything that you need to. And then you'll be making a presentation that summarizes your paper. So you'll create a PowerPoint presentation and actually present your paper for 5 to 7 minutes. And you'll do that on November 2nd. So here's the rubric. I want you to keep and hold on to this because you'll turn it in on the day that you present on November 2nd. And these are the criteria. So read them very carefully. Here are the 3 topics for your paper. In an MLA format, obviously. So make sure that you've checked this off. In fact, before you turn it in, imagine grading yourself. Did I check off all of these boxes? Do I have everything in here that I need to? Your presentation, So you'll create a PowerPoint that summarizes your findings. So kind of just go in the order of your paper. Here's topic 1, here's topic 2, here's my reflection. But don't put a bunch of text on there. That's one of my pet peeves. Just don't put a bunch of text. Try to just do little bullet points, and then you can either have note cards, or you need to be prepared to explain and expand on what your PowerPoint's saying. So I don't want you to just have the class read your PowerPoint, and I don't want you to just read your PowerPoint. So that goes on to this part where it says you're knowledgeable of the topic and you're prepared. I don't want you just reading the PowerPoint because that's not really helping anyone and it's boring. So less is more on the text, on the slide. You don't need to put all of the information on there. I just want you to be able to have little bullet points and then you expand on those. Your presentation should look professional, should be neat and organized. I don't want any, I mean, you can put like pictures and stuff on there, but I don't want you to do anything silly. No Comic Sans font. Try to make it look neat and professional, and then also that your presentation is 5 to 7 minutes, so it needs to be the appropriate length of time. So if you guys have any questions, ask Mrs. Musica. She is here to help you, and good luck on this. I can't wait to see your presentations. She's gonna, I'll at least get to see the presentations. Maybe she'll video them or something, but I'm excited to hear all about it, and I hope you guys learn a lot, and I hope you guys are doing well. Talk to you later.